Good afternoon. This is Mike Walsh. This is Ask the Mayor. And if it's Ask the Mayor, it must be Wednesday. I've got 3 questions today that I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to introduce a special guest, and we're going to talk a little bit about parks, some information that I think everybody should have. So question number 63, we've been at this now for 9 or 10 weeks, so we're up to question number 63. And actually 63 and question 64 go hand in hand. Question 63 comes from Steve, question 64 comes from Sue, and they're almost identical questions. There is misinformation going around about trash collection. Please set the record straight and let everyone know what's happening. And then Sue asks, hearing we're contracting out trash collection and recycling pickup, how will this impact us? Heard that we won't be using East Hartford bins. So both are very good questions, and let me set the record straight on both. So first off, for decades, the town of East Hartford has collected its own municipal solid waste. We've run our own transfer station, and we've picked up our own bulky waste, including Christmas trees. Some people also include leaf collection in that. That is done by town crews. We have also, for at least a couple of decades, picked up recycling using an outside firm. So what's happened is we are looking forward to moving those services completely to an outside service. So how does that work? First off, it's called bargaining unit work. It belongs to the 1174 union. And in late 2021, we were able to negotiate a contract that successfully allowed us to look at the private market and see if it made sense to move out. No final decisions have been made. As a matter of fact, we go to an executive session later today to present some information to the town council. It's a complicated matter, so it's not as easy as, hey, let's go. However, we have negotiated the right to send it out. We've done that by offering 1174 higher wages. They were a little bit behind the market, so that's a good thing for them. And they've given the town the ability to essentially look for a private contractor. Now, here's why that's complicated. There are many things we have to look at. The cost of the trucks. For example, an average truck that you see that picks up municipal solid waste or recycling costs about $400,000. Not only are they difficult to get, but they're extremely difficult to maintain. So you have the cost of fleet. You also have the cost of fuel, which is no small item right now with the worldwide fuel market being problematic. We have inflation. It's running between 7 and 8%. That outside contractor will want some of that. We also have the bins for municipal solid waste, which are the green ones, and we have the bins for the recycling, which are the blue ones. Those have to be replaced eventually. We go out on somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 calls over the last few years to replace a wheel or a lid or a cracked container. So that's also costly. Also, we have to marry the municipal solid waste contract with the recycling contract, which ends about 3 years down the road. So you can see number of variables. Additionally, we have to make sure who's going to pick up the bulky waste. Are we still going to do it on an appointment basis, or are we going to come around monthly and do sweeps? And then, of course, Christmas trees. So you can see there are a lot of variables. In the end, if the town council gives the administration the green light to move ahead, nobody's going to lose their job. There should be savings, and we should turn over a fairly sophisticated process to the private market. That'll be around July 1st, although it could slip due to any one of the above variables needed to be fully negotiated. But we will be eventually replacing the bins. That is true whether or not we privatize or move to an outside contractor or keep it internally. The bins are simply old and they're falling apart. I can't tell you what color the bins will be, but they'll probably be green, and they'll probably be replaced 1 for 1 for municipal solid waste users. If you have 2 bins, we're going to give you 2 bins back. When the recycling carts have to be replaced, and those will probably be several years down the road, don't know what color those are going to be. They'll probably be blue, but again, we will, if you have 1 now, we will replace it with 1. We're not going to be refunding any money. We're not going to be taking any carts away. And at the end, the goal is to improve services and at least minimize costs, if not reduce costs. So I want to be sure everyone understands we are not 100% decided yet, but July 1 is fast approaching, and we should have some news in the next few days. Question number 65 comes from Matthew, and I could tell based on the way he wrote it, Matthew was angry. So Matthew asks, why can we not park on streets overnight on Fern Crest when road work is only going on during the daytime? Can you please change the parking ban and just limit it to no parking on streets from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.? Can you please get rid of the $45 parking ticket I was given for parking on the street when there was no construction happening? Everyone in our community has very limited driveway space and don't have many other options. Alternatively, give me the $45 for the tire I busted in one of your potholes. So I can tell Matthew's angry, but a few things. Fern Crest is receiving a light mill and an overlay. That's a good thing. Your road will be repaired. That doesn't have any reason to do with the reason you were ticketed. A number of people, I went through the area shortly after you registered the complaint, drove through the area, understood what was happening, and the construction had little if nothing to do with why the residents in that area were ticketed. We were simply receiving complaints from residents in the area who were concerned about the aesthetic look, who were concerned about the safety, and who were concerned about other residents having multiple cars in the street, and it just looked cluttered. I don't control that. There's simply a town ordinance passed by town councils before me, many, many years before me. It's a parking ordinance that's in place regardless of construction with a $45 fine. That's what the police were enforcing, and generally speaking, the police will only enforce it when there's a neighborhood complaint. This was put in place decades ago by a town council, and if you would like to make changes, anyone can email Richard Kehoe or any of the members of the town council to start that discussion. I will tell you that there are a number of residents in town who like the overnight parking ordinance. Some residents don't like that it's selectively enforced based on complaints, but we simply don't want to weaponize the police department against a particular neighborhood, or it is not a huge money generator for us. If on a $205 million budget, we take in $70,000 a year from paid parking tickets, that's on the high side. So again, I want to reiterate the parking ticket was issued to many in the neighborhood because of complaints received in the mayor's office. With respect to limited driveway space, you do have the ability to work with the public works director, and if you have a situation where you have more cars in the house than you have ability to park them in the driveway, you can get a 1-year permit for that. And again, the permit won't be given out in every situation. It's for those hardships where you don't have enough space. Finally, use Q Alert. That's our system where we allow residents to go in and explain to us where potholes are for notifications. That's the quickest way to get a pothole repaired in your neighborhood. Finally, question number 66 comes from Francis, and the question is, why does a person need to buy a boat launch permit for each watercraft that they launch from the towboat? The permit should be for the vehicle that is towing the watercraft. My son owns 2 jet skis and a boat and was required to buy a pass for each at $40 each. This is wrong in my opinion. Francis, I completely understand what you're saying. I don't control the fees. That is also by town council, but we made a few calls around to surrounding communities. If you're aware, each watercraft is required to be state registered. Each state registered watercraft needs an individual boat launch permit. And if you think about it another way, you could have a business by getting one boat launch permit and simply launching everybody who comes in. So for one $40 ticket, you can open up your own business if it was allowed under your parameters. So again, I don't set the parameters, but what I've been told is East Hartford is not unique. This is something that first starts with a registered watercraft, and then each registered watercraft needs its own individual launch permit. And I believe that also needs to be shown when you launch it. Fees are partially offset the maintenance of the launches. And finally, fees that we collect are also partially offsetting the tracking of the watercraft registrations. So thank you to everybody today for your questions. Those are the answers. Now I want to introduce a special guest to Ask the Mayor, Salima Davis. Salima, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Mayor Walsh. My name is Salima Davis. I'm a resident of East Hartford community. I'm also a homeowner. I'm an executive director for an organization called the George Walker Jr. Community Coalition in New York City, as well as a youth court judge, and I made East Hartford my home. My daughter actually is graduating this year from East Hartford High School and will be attending Easton, Connecticut University. So I am just proud to be here with you and to be a resident of East Hartford, Connecticut.
I couldn't have been happier that Salima agreed to come on to the Ask the Mayor today. And this is a little bit longer section. We're actually diving into a little bit of a different tact, but we're interested in getting some information out. And Salima approached me about a month ago, and she says, I'm here in East Hartford and I want to volunteer. What can I do? One of her strengths is parks. So last Thursday, we took about a 3-hour ride. And while there's 19 parks in East Hartford, about 13 or 14 of them are true parks with swing sets and so forth. So I'm going to ask Salima, in our 3-hour ride last Thursday, the 13 or 14 parks we visited, what was your impression?
The impression on the parks in East Hartford are nice. We do have nice parks because we have a lot of open land space. Some of the parks need to be revitalized, and we can bring in new equipment for the young people. Knowing parks, I used to chair parks for Community Board 5 in Brooklyn, East New York. But the parks overall, they were nice. We just have to add some more money, some more color, I think, to our parks.
Great segue. So the list we have in front of us, we have a couple of things. So first off, in yellow, we have about a dozen items, and I'm going to go through them quickly. These are items coming to parks near you, hopefully quickly, but certainly by the end of summer. So at DePietro Park, we're going to put a walking path and some fitness equipment there. In Foreign Park, near the former tennis courts, we're going to put a dog park there. In Gorman Park at Lord Pool, we're going to put 2 shade structures. At also Gorman Park, where the former tennis court is, a futsal court. And for those of you who don't know what futsal is, it's basically soccer played on an abandoned tennis court. And the tennis court will be lightly remodeled, painted, and some futsal nets will be put in. Labor Field, futsal court. Martin Park, futsal court. Near the entrance at Martin Park, we're going to do a gate and a sign. McAuliffe Park, we're going to do some additional irrigation to keep the fields green. At McKenna Park, we're going to do some replacement of the grandstands. And at various parks, we're going to put some new aluminum bleachers. Nothing fancy, those that you can take out. And then finally at Shea Park, and if anybody goes by that, that's off Mercer Avenue, we have a brand new cricket court that was just put in today. It'll be ready for play probably about June 1st. So all totaled, there will be, and also at Martin Park, there'll be a playscape where there'll be some swings, new surfacing, and benches. All totaled, that's a little over $700,000. Salima, for our first pass, how do you feel?
I feel good with that. That's good. After looking at the parks, going around with you and seeing what some of the parks needed, it would really help bring light to them. As far as moving forward, and since the town has the funding to put in the parks, how long would it take for these projects to be?
So, good question. So the list that we just read off are projects that are funded and ready to go tomorrow, subject to labor issues, meaning we have a lot of work to do and not any more employees than we had before, and also supply chain issues. We simply can't get some things as readily as we used to. But we're told that East Hartford may be in line for some additional funding from the state of Connecticut. And again, I'm going to just throw some light items out there. This one is closer to an additional $1 million. Cross our fingers that we get it. At Alumni Park, we're going to be repaving and painting some basketball courts. But in addition to Alumni Park, Dwyer Park, Foreign Park, and Gorman Park will all have repaved and painted basketball courts. We're going to do some disc golf, also at Gorman Park, some new grills near the pavilion at Gorman Park. We're going to do some fencing and dugouts, baseball field 1 and 2, Gorman Park. We're going to do some core fitness equipment for those 13 years of up in the grassy area near Hockenham Park. We're going to add a shade structure, 2 of them, to Terry Pool at Hockenham Park. We're going to do some new hoops and paint the court right around Hockenham Park, the Main Street side. Repave and repaint a couple of more basketball courts at Hockenham and Martin, more grills at Martin, bleachers and a pad at Martin where the football field is. We're going to install a new concession stand at Martin Park, and that'll be big because it'll include some new bathrooms. Finally, we're going to repave and paint some basketball courts at McAuliffe Park, some storage and bathrooms near the pavilion at McAuliffe Park. We're going to bring some bleachers at Shea Park with the new cricket field, and then finally some hoops, some fencing, and some painting in general to some basketball courts and some futsal. So no way by any shape of the imagination is this an extensive or permanent list or complete list, but it gets us down the road of starting to really revitalize our parks. And Salima, you tell us if we're moving in the right direction. I know one of the things that fascinated me about our discussion is you had a lot of ideas that weren't costly, like brightening up some of the pool houses.
Yes.
With some murals.
Yes. We talked about once we had traveled around the community looking at parks, if we can add some murals to our pool houses, some bright colors to our basketball back hoops. And I think with that, it'll make the park pop, and it'll attract more young people to come in after we do that and revitalize the parks just now and bring in some type of programs for the young people and even the seniors in the community to the parks. We did discuss like movie nights, a taste of East Hartford, a red carpet affair, once the parks are finally finished and done, where we can have events in the park that will bring the community together.
So Salima, love all your ideas, love your energy, love the fact that you're volunteering. If anybody out there in the sound of our voices has ideas about our parks, and especially low-cost ideas, because we are not a community blessed with unlimited riches. If you've got some low-cost ideas and you want to send them to Ask the Mayor, Salima and I will review them and we'll incorporate them into your parks, because as much as we will try to get some of the work done, this is on behalf of the community. So Salima, before we cut out, last word's yours.
Well, I just would like to say, get out this summer and come and enjoy our beautiful parks in East Hartford. Thank you.
This is Ask the Mayor. It must be Wednesday. Send your questions in. Have a great afternoon.